Okay, so this is going to be the video for your 5.5 through 5.7 practice quiz. There are some problems that you don't need to do on this, so I'm going to run through factoring with each one. It's not going to be very in-depth, I'm just going to run through it. So this first one, you factor an x squared out and a 19. So 19x squared leaves you x minus 2. This one here, looking at everything, this is a 21, an 18, and a 24. There's an x in every single part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first pull out an x and a 3. So that leaves me with 3x times, so I got 7x squared minus 6xy plus 8y squared. So now I need to look and see if there's factors of 7 times 8 that add up to be negative 6. So when you have variables at the front and the end, you can just forget about the y's. So I'm going to just run 56. Oh, there's got to be something. 17 and 4. 14 and 4. Let's see. Let's go here. 56 divided by x. Second table. Span of 10. And 28 is 2. Yeah, I think we're good. And there's no other factors of that, so that's where you're at with that factoring. Alright, looking at this group, depending on what happens, there are 4 terms here, so I'm going to break this up into 2. So here I have a 2 and an a that I can pull out. So 2a gives me k minus 3 plus k minus 3. So there is a value of 1 here that you cannot see. So I pull a k minus 3 out of both. I'm left with 2a plus 1. So, jumping over here to the next one. So, 1 times 7 is 7, factors of 8. So, factors of 7 that add up to be 8 are 1 and 7. So, b plus 1, b plus 7. No solving, just factoring. Next one here. You can pull a 4 out to start. So, 64 divided by 4 is 16, so 4f squared minus 16. Now from there, these are both differences or perfect squares, so this would be 4 times f minus 4 and f plus 4. This is the sum of squares, so this is prime. Cannot factor the sum of squares. Difference of cubes, n cubed minus 5 cubed, so n minus 5 times n squared plus 5n plus 25, and that's factored as well. Alright, so solving equations. I have this over here. So solving this equation, factor an a out first. A times a squared minus 9. A plus 14 equals 0. So a equals 0 is the first answer. Factor this. The factors of 1 times 14 is 14. Add up to be negative 9. Negative 7, negative 2. So I'd have a minus 7 and a minus 2 equals 0. So that's a equals 7 and 2. So all my solutions are a equals 0, 7, 2. Keep x cubed positive. I'm going to move the 3x squared over. So x cubed minus 3x squared equals 0. Factor an x squared out. X minus 3 equals 0. X equals 0. This is a double root because it happens twice. X squared equals 0. And then you have x equals 3. Alright, turn the page. More factoring. So at the top, factor t squared out. So t squared minus 3 minus 40. 3t equals 0. So t equals 0. Double, because it happens twice for the x squared. T squared, excuse me. Factors of negative 40. That get to negative 3. Negative 8, positive 5. So I have t minus 8. T plus 5 equals 0. T equals 8. Negative 5. So my answers are t equals 0. It's a double. 8 comma negative 5. Do you have to write down the doubles? No, but it's just helpful so you know how you got your 4 solutions. Factor b out, so b times b squared minus 8b plus 16 equals 0. B equals 0. Factors of 16, that add up to be negative 8. Negative 4, negative 4. So I have b minus 4, b minus 4 equals 0. B equals 4. That's a double. So I have b equals 0 and 4. Double root. Alright, next one. This is doing synthetic division. So you are not just plugging it in, you need to do synthetic substitution. So negative 3 and 4. Factors 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bring down the first. 1, negative 3, negative 1, 3, 6. So f of negative 3 equals 6. Bring down 1, 4, 6, 24, 27. So f of 4 equals 27. Same thing with the next one. 3, 2, 1, 0. So 1, negative 2, 8. By negative 3. Bring 1 down. Negative 3, negative 5, 15. 13, negative 39, negative 31. So f of negative 3 should be negative 31. How do we check that? Well, we would plug in our calculator, but you must do it by synthetic because that is worth a point. So negative 3 cubed minus 2 times negative 3 squared minus 2 times negative 3 plus 8, get negative 31. So I did it right, just didn't seem right. So same thing with 4. 1, negative 2, 8. 1, 4, 2, 8, 6, 24, 32. So f of 4 equals 32. All right. So 14, you're given one of its factors. Find the remaining factors of the polynomial. This is from 5.6. So this would be 2. So I'm going to do synthetic with 2. 1, 3, negative 6, negative 8. Bring this down. 1, 2, 5, 10, 4, 8, 0. This is x squared plus 5x plus 4, which I can still factor. So this factors to x plus 4, x plus 1. These are remaining factors. You're done with the problem. This one here, 3, 2, 1, 0, so synthetic. Do synthetic with 1, 1, 7, 7, negative 15. Bring this down, 1, 1, 8, 8, 15, 15, 0. X squared plus 8x plus 15. The factors of 15 that add up to 8 are 5 and 3. So this factors to x plus 5 and x plus 3. And that's your remaining factors there. So the next problem is solve based on state the number of types of roots, solve each equation. You can solve whichever way you want. I'm going to probably do just factoring because it's quicker usually. State the type, number and type of roots. Based on this is after you solve. So solve each equation, then state the number of roots. So we know we're going to have 4 roots. Based on how you solve depends on exactly what you would get. Excuse me. So this would be x squared equals 0. If you're doing the factoring, so the factors of 4 that add to be negative 5 are negative 4, negative 1. X squared equals 4. X squared equals 1. Square root both sides. X equals plus or minus 2. X equals plus or minus 1. So these are 4 real rational. So I don't have any square root answers, so that's irrational. And I don't have any imaginary, so that's not imaginary. I'm going to jump down here to 18 so I don't have to move as much. X plus 5, X plus 2 equals 0. The factors of 10 that add up to 7. X equals negative 5, negative 2, 2 roots. 2 real rational. Jumping over to 17. Factor out an x. X to the 4th minus 81 equals 0. So I know x equals 0 is the solution. X squared equals 0. Perfect square. Gives me minus 9 plus 9. X squared equals 9. X squared equals negative 9. Square root. X equals plus or minus 3. Square root. X equals plus or minus the square root of a negative 9. So 3i. You have 4 roots. 2 real. Rational. 2 imaginary. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Solving these guys out, you get to skip. So essentially here's the way it's going to work out. 19, 20 you're going to solve again. 21, 22 we're going to skip because that's not on this quiz anymore. So doing this one here, the factors of 49 that add up to be 50. 149. So I'm going to go x squared plus 1. X squared plus 49 equals 0. X squared equals negative 1. X squared equals negative 49. Square root both. X equals plus or minus I, because the square root of 1 is 1. 1 times I is I, so plus or minus I. Square root of negative 49. X equals plus or minus 7i. Number 20. Where do I start? So I could try factor by grouping. Not going to work. So since it's not going to work in any way that I normally can solve, I have to go to my calculator. I got to go find a 0. So on 20, I'm going to go y equals, I'm going to type in the function. I'm going to move my paper just a little bit. So x cubed minus 3x squared plus 9x minus 7, and I'm going to hit zoom 6 because I don't remember if I played with my graph since my last video. So here, waiting for it to graph, I have a solution. So my one solution that I have is something that's right there. So I'm going to go calculate out that 0. So second calc, 0. I'm going to hit 0. And I'm going to hit 3. And I'm going to guess it. And that answer comes out to be a positive 1. It's kind of hard to see, but the synthetic is going to be with 1. So I found x equals 1 by the calculator. So I'm going to do synthetic division with 1. So 1, 1, negative 3, 9, negative 7. This should come out to be 0 because it is a solution. So 1, 1, negative 2, negative 2, 7, 7, 0. So I'm now looking at x squared minus 2x plus 7. There are no factors of 7 that add up to be negative 2, so I'm going to have to do quadratic formula. So it would be negative times a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, all divided by 2 times 1. So this is going to give me 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 28, which is negative 26, divisible by 2. So 26, I'm going to double check that. No, 24. You know what? I'm just going to trust my calculator. I'm going to do it in my calculator. So second quit. Type it in exactly as I had it, which was negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, negative 24. So minus 24 breaks down into 4 and 6. So this becomes 2 plus or minus 2 root 6. There's an I there. Pomeroy, there's an I. Divisible by 2. All the numbers on the outside are divisible by 2. So then I get 1 plus or minus I root 6. So these are my 3 solutions. So doing the same thing again, I'm just going to rinse and repeat. So finding answers, you do it by your calculator. So y equals x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 4. I'm going to type them all in so I can just jump them around when I get there. Minus 5x squared minus 4x plus 3 and x to the 4th minus 5x cubed minus 9x squared minus 25x minus 70. So, graphing those out. I'm just running all 3 graphs at the same time. They are color coded, so there's the first one. Really? Oh, apparently I just turned on the first one. So we're good. That's the first one. So the first one is x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 4. Second table. If I go to the table, I can see at 1, there's his answer. If not, second calc, 2. Type in a number over here off to the side, or hit enter on left side. Move across, hit enter. It gives me the value of 1. So I'm going to do synthetic with 1. Essentially what I just did. 1, negative 2, 5, negative 4. Bring this down. 1, 1, negative 1. So factors of x squared minus 1, x plus 4. There are no factors of 4 that add to be 0, so I'm going to have to do quadratic formula again. So x equals 1 by the calculator. Negative times negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus, we'll go negative 1 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 4, all divided by 2. So this is 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 16. I'm going to assume, but I don't like assuming today because my math's not working, so same. Minus 1 times 4 times 1 times 4. Negative 15 divided by 2. So this would be 1 plus or minus I root 15 divided by 2. So my answers are x equals this and that. It does say round to the nearest hundredth, but I would love your answers that are imaginary to be with calculators. If it is, or with radicals. If it is not imaginary, then you may give me a decimal answer for your values. However, you may not solve by graphing. So you must do math mathematically. So 24. That was 23, now on to 24, waiting for it to graph. I have a few answers there that I can see. So I'm going to go second calc, and I'm going to find a 0. And I'm going to pick the answer over here, so I'm going to go negative 3, 0. And I'm going to pick that 0. I could pick the 0, negative 1, or I could pick 1, 2, 3. The 0, 3, it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm just going to start with 1. So, going with negative 1, 2, negative 5, negative 4, 3. Okay. Coming to this, bring this down. 2, negative 7, 7, 3, negative 3. 0, I get 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 equals 0. So now I look at this and I'm like, okay, I have factors of 2 and 3. So 2 times 3, 6, minus 7, minus 6, minus 1 are the factors that add up to be negative 7. So go 2x minus 6, 2x minus 1 equals 0. Divided by 2, so you get x minus 3. 2x minus 1 equals 0. So my answers are x equals 3 and 1/2. Last but not least, number 25. Gonna do the same thing again. Wait for my calculator to run. I'm gonna find a 0. So looking at it, I know 7 is an answer because it says 7 is 0. So that's one I could choose, or I could choose negative 2. So on my calculator, I know x equals negative 2 and 7 by calculator. But I have to divide by both of these to get to something I like. So I'm going to start with negative 2. So negative 2, this is a 1, negative 5, negative 9, negative 25, negative 70. Bring this down. 1, negative 2, negative 7, 14. That would be a 5. Negative 10, negative 35 gives me 70, 0. So this is x cubed, negative 7, 5 here. So looking at this, I know I have an x cubed minus 7x squared plus 5x minus 35. Now, I could do synthetic again with 7, or I could see if I can factor by grouping. I'm going to look at factor by grouping. So if I pull here an x squared out, I get x minus 7. And looking at both of these, I can pull a 5 out, plus 5, x minus 7. So I look at this and I'm like, hey, I can factor by grouping or not. If I couldn't, then I would do synthetic with 7. Okay, this answer of 7 is going to come from one of these. Now, if you ran synthetic again with 7, you could, and I'll show you that here in a second. But this gives you x squared plus 5, x minus 7, so x equals 7, x squared equals negative 5, x equals plus or minus I square roots of 5. When you take the square root. So there's my answers. There's my 3 answers plus the negative 2. I said 7 was an answer by the calculator. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do synthetic again here with 7 so you can see that I would still get x squared plus 5. So synthetic with 7. Bring down the 1. 7, 7, 0. That's a 1. Try that again. 1 times 7, 7, 0. 0 times 7, 0. 5, 35, 0. So this was x cubed, so now I divide another x out. X squared plus 25 plus 5 Pomeroy plus 5 equals 0. That factors that factor there. So here I could do synthetic or I could do longhand division again. Either way, I'm still going to get this answer. So my answers are negative 2, 7, plus or minus I root 5. That's your practice quiz. Make sure you know how to do the table. It doesn't show you on here, but if you were to do the table on this problem here, so let's look at this one. Positive, negative, you have plus, minus, 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 minus. This is even, odd, none. So negative answers, evens don't change, so even, odd would change, even doesn't change, odd would change, none change. So one sign change, so this would be one answer. You can't see what I was doing, I apologize. One sign answer, 1, 2, 3 answers. So even doesn't change, odd changes, even doesn't change, odd changes, none changes. So one sign change, 2 sign change, so 3 sign changes. Okay? So positive, negative, imaginary. So I have one answer positive, 3 negative, 0 imaginary because that gets me 4. 1 positive, I can subtract 2, so I subtract 2, get 1, and then I move 2 over here in imaginary. This is what it is to describe your type of roots. I would like you to know that you need to do this if the questions are asked differently. So it says here, tell me how many roots and the type of roots. If this was switched in its order, you would do the table and then solve the equation. So like here, if it said state the number and the type of roots that are possible, you would tell me 4 solutions and then give me this table and then solve it out.